Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another review. Today we're taking a look at the SH Figuarts Omegamon Premium Color Edition from Digimon Adventure. Let's begin. It's morphin' time! So here's the box for the Premium Color SH Figuarts Omegamon. Now this is pretty nice because it's a nice fancy box despite being a Premium Bandai exclusive. And I gotta say, I do like the logo up here. You got, of course, the Tamashii seal of quality to confirm it's real. Good old Premium Bandai logo down there, as well as a Toei sticker to also confirm it's real. They are definitely making sure this thing is real, so that you know, because there are a ton of bootlegs. And the back of the box shows some nice details, but nothing we can't do ourselves with the figure. I just want to kind of show this off. Now, before we look at this Omegamon being the third DArt/Figuarts release of Omegamon, let's do a little retrospective. So back in 2010, yes, 11 years ago, if I'm going to be reminding my age, so will you, Bandai released a new line called D-Arts. It was a spin-off from SH Figuarts, decidingly picking digital characters. So Digimon, of course, was the headliner. The line all started with good old Wargreymon, because every Digimon toy line now ever since this one starts with Wargreymon. The series also saw release of a Black Wargreymon, being the first Premium Bandai exclusive, a Beelzemon, who somehow made it out at retail, but never got his blast mode parts, a Dukemon, which also made it out to retail, and then a Metal Garurumon, which was the first new mold that was a Premium Bandai release. But before all of them, but after Wargreymon, there was, of course, Omegamon. The second release of the line, D-Arts Omegamon, was my first Omegamon action figure. I'd wanted an action figure ever since I saw Omnimon and Digimon the movie. If you think I'm going to start mixing up the names now, I did that intentionally. Of course, D-Arts did flop. I say that because its third release was Premium Bandai exclusive, that being Black Wargreymon. The fact these two even made it out at retail is a sign of the times that don't exist anymore. D-Arts eventually folded because, well, Bandai realized, why do we have all these lines that are like Figuarts, just name different things? And then, well, Digimon moved into SH Figuarts. Once Figuarts ended up becoming the home for all Bandai Tamashii Nation stuff, Imperial Dramon Fighter Mode was released, as well as Imperial Dramon Paladin Mode, and Alphamon, which I didn't end up picking up for various reasons, a Chaos Dukemon, a animation-accurate Wargreymon, a few other premium repaints, and of course, our second Omegamon, this time being animation colors and more styled towards our wargame look. Now this one was a new mold. However, this one's new mold had a cloth cape, which was kind of garbage. And I'm going to go into that more later, but this era, kind of, as you may have noticed, I didn't pick up a whole lot. I didn't get Alphamon, didn't get the animation Wargreymon, everything else was a repaint from a D-Art or whatnot. Digimon Figuarts just sort of petered out. They petered out a lot, and then a new line was born. And that line was Digivolving Spirits. Figures that digivolved and transformed like the old days. They were a nostalgia throwback, which means you got some cool stuff out of it, but they were also like $80 nostalgia throwbacks. And they were prohibitively expensive. I only ended up picking up 3 of them. I intended to support the line because I thought it was cool, and we got a line that included stuff like Diaboromon or Megakabuterimon or Angemon. But, however, just like every other Digimon line, this one died off. For some reason, yet again, Black Wargreymon killed it. And yeah, that was kind of the end of Tamashii Nation's Digimon stuff for a good solid 2 years, until they rolled back around and said, well, we never made an Omegamon in Digivolving Spirits. You want a new one? My initial answer was no, I didn't want a third Omegamon. But after some consideration, once the figure actually released, I ended up getting it because I have no self-control when it comes to Digimon when I have money. When I don't have money, I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't need that. But when I do have money, it gets bad. So, let's talk about Premium Color Omegamon. This was an SH Figuarts release done in 2021, and actually has a follow-up with a Alphamon Premium Color Edition coming out. So, are Digimon Figuarts back? Are they just going to do Premium Color Editions because they don't have to do new molding and they just fix the capes on them? Can we get an updated Gallantmon then? I don't have answers. But we are at least getting this guy and Alphamon, which is also giving me a chance to get Alphamon, again, now that I have money. With Omegamon here, this was a Premium Bandai exclusive released in Japan on Premium Bandai, and in the US on Premium Bandai US, which was the first Digimon Figuart to do that. It's pretty nice, because they don't want to give us any Kamen Rider or Ultraman stuff on Premium Bandai US, but they will give us Digimon. Tamashii Nations is a weird beast. Now, before we get into this figure, I really want to talk about how to apply the cape. Because, honestly, this was the reason why I bought this figure. This cape here, which you can see is two different colors, red on the inside, white on the outside, kind of a flat plasticky on the outside, and a more cloth on the inside. It's fused together with a wire in between, making it posable. We will talk about why this is amazing in a moment, and you see that I got this on a discount on an import shop because there was a couple bubbles here, which is Bandai's manufacturing process. It's not really damaged product, and it's not that noticeable once the cape's on. But getting the cape on can be tricky. With this guy being a remold of the our war game Omegamon, I kind of already knew what I was getting into, but I do want to show this on camera because I don't think it gets covered near enough. So you need to pop the back plate out, and in the back plate you can see there's several pegs. We'll leave it like that. You then want to take the cape. You want to make sure that this, this is going on the inside. So you want to line it up like this, where that is kind of look like that. Just follow my lead here. And then you want to fold this down and around. The wire cape will help with this. And you want to kind of get this stuffed in. And then you want to take this black piece that it includes, wedge it on like this onto all three pegs so that it holds it into place. And then that way, when you peg it into his back again, the cape will be flowing nicely and neatly out of his back. That being said, I'm going to kind of do some adjustments. Oh, it's kind of in there. Actually, I did that on the first try on camera. So there we go. I'm going to reset the little stage here because let's take a little closer look at this guy. So once you get this guy out of package, you can see he's gorgeous. The premium color essentially means metallic everything. Pearlescent white for the body, which I hope is a nice pearlescent white. Doesn't seem to be the same as the D art, which again we'll mention when we compare these. But you can see kind of he's got the nice metallic sheens across, the Courage Shield as well as the Garurumon spikes. I don't know what to call them. But also the head, very nice paint detail. Now what's kind of cool too is that the cape is not a bone white on the back. It's actually kind of a off-white that gives it sort of the pearlescent touch that the body has. And it's supposed to be a different color than the body, so I'm glad that is finally replicated. It's not just like stark white colors everywhere. Panning down a bit, you can see on the different heads here, the heads that he has as hands, you can see, again, very nice detail. It's pretty much what you expect. There's no like poor quality with this one, which is really nice to see. The gemstone in the stomach, as well as, of course, the horns looking very nice. This is the nicest looking Omegamon paint-wise, and it doesn't require any chrome bits like the D-Art did. Also, the hips have been fixed. We'll talk about that again. This is, I think I forgot to mention this is a repaint of the Our War Game Omegamon mold, which is why it has the animation-accurate proportions, but then it's given a paint scheme that's more in line with the D-Art, and more in line in general with the rest of the line. Of other Figuarts, because those are typically more metallic painted than the pastel cartoon look. So there's that. Now, of course, this guy needs articulation because he is an action figure. So let's take a look. So he's got head movement, can pivot up, left, right, all around, pretty nice. Shoulders are ball jointed, so they move around, they move up and down, move forward. You can rotate the elbow piece here, so you can get like a double bend as well. All kinds of cool stuff. The heads are also ball jointed. Then you got the torso, which is kind of just tilts forward. I thought it was a ball joint, but I can't quite get it to do left and right. It kind of just moves forward. This piece also moves to get out of the way. And then the waist is on a ball joint. The hips move out, they move forward, they rotate at the hip there. Single jointed knee that moves pretty dang far. A pivoting foot, which moves like this, and also left and right, and then the toes that adjust as well. So you can get some pretty cool poses. You can also do the, what is now famous thanks to Try, adventure pose of, you can have the legs overlap. Not quite as seamless as it is in the series, but you can do basically the arms spread, cape wide, boom, he's floating pose, but it's kind of hard to do when he's standing, so what they included was a stage. So this is one of those circular-based Tamashii stages. This actually includes a 3-strut, which is something they upgraded, because it was just a 2-strut on the other one, which means he couldn't float very well. So this is a 3-strut, because it's a tall figure. And you basically just peg it into the back of him there. He's got a little hole. Peg this in. And now you can do the Omegamon entrance pose from Try and others. Pretty cool overall. And yeah, let's talk about the cape, because that's part of the posability. The cape itself, again, wire all the way around, which means if you want kind of a natural flowing, you gotta kind of have to get in here. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to, like, first of all, I don't want to eject Omegamon from the stand, but you don't want to kind of like bend it too much because of the plastic. But it does seem like it's going to be sturdy enough to hold up over time. But again, new figure, so we'll see what happens. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, D-Art's Omegamon's great, and then he falls all over the place. And yeah, that's going to be like a thing, is the peg is very much just kind of in there. So if you want a kind of a wavy look, that's sort of what it looks like. Of course, you can just have it like shooting straight out like this. And look at that. So you got kind of a nice dramatic cape, which I really do appreciate. Now, of course, going alongside all this is the classic weapons. The gray sword, or the transcendent sword, if you like the dub, like me. You can insert this here, and you can see very nice detail with the digicode on it. Come on, camera, focus on the digicode. It doesn't want to focus on digicode. Anyways, you can kind of see, there we go. So you can see the digicode along the sword, really nice. And of course the cannon. I do like this version of the mold. The D-Art made you swap like 8 pieces for seemingly no reason. Being a cannon, so the Guru cannon, or the, I don't remember what they called it in the dub. Anyways, you got that going on. So you can get kind of cool poses, and his cape is not too heavy. So if you want the cape splayed out and him just on the ground like that, totally an option, which is pretty rad. I gotta give them a lot of credit here. They made this work. So overall, is this the best Omegamon figure? And now for the big showdown. Omegamon versus Omegamon versus Omegamon. This is the premium color SH Figuarts, the D-Art, and the our Wargame SH Figuarts. So, which is the best? The simple short answer, this one, 100%. This is me having these figures since they came out. 2011, 2016, 2021. They release an Omegamon every 5 years. But I don't see how in 2026 we're getting anything better than this. This is really top of the line Omegamon, because it solved all the problems. So what are the problems with these previous figures, since I keep bringing this up? Well, this Omegamon had a proportion issue. It's essentially, he's a little too thick in some areas, a little too thin in some. He's more based on video game art. I think more people are aware of the animation version. So really, is it bad? No, it's kind of not bad. The problem with this guy was the pearlescent paint is one of the old types where if it gets too hot, it gets too wet, it can start to peel, it can start to discolor. Mine stayed in good shape, but, you know, it is 11 years old, and he's not as tight as he used to. Joints kind of flop around, like his torso especially. So, you know, there is some drawbacks. But overall, the D-Art is fairly solid, but the cape, the plastic cape, just doesn't do it justice. And we'll talk about, we're gonna talk about cape separate. But overall as a figure, kind of weirdly proportioned, but honestly pretty solid. Then you got this Figuart rolled in, and he solved the problem of the proportions. More animation accurate, really nice looking mold, better articulation. He's not so heavy. This D-Art, because he was made in an era where Figuarts are throwing diecast into things, he's not got any diecast, I don't think. Oh, the cannon's diecast. And the sword. Okay, so he's got a couple pieces that are metal. So he's got kind of like a substantial weight to him. The problem is, you get him up on a stand, he doesn't have a stand port, but you can't really get him into any cool flying poses, which is a Omegamon thing to do. This guy is a lot lighter, so that means you can actually get him into more aerial dynamic poses, and he's got better range of movement overall. However, 2 problems. 1, cape, which we'll mention in a moment, and 2, he's got those like hips. You can see through the hips. I don't know why. It looks weird. It bothers me. And yeah. But otherwise, the mold is pretty dang good. And in fact, this one actually came with a bonus item, which we'll talk about in a bit because it actually kind of works with the premium. But with this one, it was an improvement in a lot of ways, but at the same time, since they didn't continue the animation looks, he's out of place. Nobody else really looks like him in the Figuarts collection because he is nice, bright animation colors, which is great, but it doesn't match anything. The only thing that they made to go with it was the Wargreymon, and they never made Metal Garurumon to go with them, so kind of a detractor. So what do we have with the premium color? Well, it's the same mold as the Wargame, which was the better mold. They fixed the hips, which are now filled in, and he's got that nice color scheme that matches the old D-Art style and the other Figuarts, as well as matching Metal Garurumon's actual colors better. Where the D-Art was too dark, this one matches in a more purple, while this is a more metallic blue. So, in a way, they all have their own merits, but I feel like we've kind of upgraded each time, and we've reached kind of the pinnacle of Omegamon with the premium color. I do want to mention this to anyone that owns D-Art's Omegamon. This clip on my stand, like, kind of broke, like, 2 or 3 years after I had them. It's not a great clip, but, yeah, let me know if yours is holding up, if you got one of these. Alright, so the cape on D-Art's Omegamon was one of Bandai's old plastic capes. These things are usually super heavy. You can see the joints wore out, and they split it so it can be kind of posable. Except not really. Instead, you just have what looks like a split cape. Not great. But, as of the time, they included a second cape. This one was a solid piece, and you have to use it with this stand, because if you take him off the stand and try to use it, his legs are too short, so he tends to just hunch forward trying to stabilize. But if you have the stand, you put him on the stand, you know, get the cape off the stand so that he's raised up a bit, it kind of works for this one pose, and this one pose alone. This is the unfortunate part, is that this cape doesn't look great because it's got the whole split thing going on. This cape looks better, but is completely impractical. So, yeah, what was the biggest detractor of D-Art's Omegamon at the time? I wish we had better cape options. 5 years later, here's a new Omegamon. Now, this one was specifically designed to represent his look from our Wargame, and yeah, here's the cape again. Now, this cape is the worst one of them all, absolutely by far. It seemingly, in promotional images, looked fantastic. It's like, oh wow, we got a cloth cape, it poses, it's cool, it's great. The actual product, thin enough that you can see things through it. It is one layer of fabric. This outer, instead of being covered to give it the look of the white cape, is instead literally just the other side of the fabric. They thought, hey, pink's close enough, I guess. And then, yeah, you can see through it. You can even see it on camera here. Like, you can see through the cape. It's honestly kind of pathetic. So, getting him off the stand here, the solution to get it to display dynamically, instead of just flopping on the ground, which, by the way, it's way too long, it's just always dragging, was this. What is this, you might ask? Yeah, I didn't know either. I actually had to look this up, because I kind of forgot that they did this. But essentially, you plug this into the back, and then you can't actually, I think, yeah, it takes up the port for the stand. You'd have to plug the stand into one of these, but it doesn't really fit, so we're not going to do that. And then you have to, like, figure out where your cape's going, and then sort of adjust these armatures. Let me try to attempt it and show you how close I can get. I'm sure if you try harder, it can look better, but yeah, essentially, if you connect the cape in 3 spots and then just kind of do this, it's definitely flying out there, but then you're seeing mostly the pink side, which doesn't help, and you can't plug in the Tamashii stand without, like, a lot of... This is way more work when they could have just stuck a wire in this thing. And this is how Bandai Tamashii has approached capes. They did these weird plastic ones that were super heavy. They've done these weird, like, let's go out of our way to get a wire, instead of just saying, hey, if you're doing a soft goods cape, or if you're doing a cape in general, just make it wired. And they finally did that. On the 3rd time. Now, I don't want this video to seem like I'm beating up on poor our Wargame Omegamon. He's got one cool thing that the others can't do, and neither does the premium edition have. I do want to highlight that. And that is these 2 tiny little figures of Yamato and Taichi, Matt and Tai, on the shoulders of Omegamon. It's probably the coolest thing that the Our Wargame version does. and the premium edition does not have this. Probably because they put all the money into the cape. But there is a little secret if you happen to have both. And that's the fact that they didn't seal those panels on the shoulders on the premium color. Straight repaint means you can use the accessories from one to the other. And honestly, this is a complete Omegamon experience right there. And honestly, it makes me glad I still have the R Wargame version. That figure was disappointing upon release, and it did provide us these little pieces. And the premium color did not. That's the only detractor I can have against premium color Omegamon. So at the end of the day, if you have an Omegamon Figuart and just didn't feel happy with it, premium color Omegamon is probably right up your alley. I didn't think I'd want to buy a third one, but boy is this one nice. And if you never had an Omegamon Figuart but always wanted one, this is the best choice. The only unfortunate part is this was a Premium Bandai exclusive in both Japan and the US, so best of luck on the aftermarket, because that's pretty much the only hurdle. Though it did seem to do well enough to make Alphamon a retail release in the US, so hey, things are looking up for Digimon. So in conclusion, this is the absolute ultimate Omegamon figure for me. It's everything I liked about the D art in terms of the color scheme, it's everything I liked about the previous Figuart in terms of the mold, but with a cape that actually functions and looks good, and it just feels so nice. It feels like I finally have achieved the Omegamon figure that I've always wanted ever since I saw Omnimon in that movie 20 years ago. 21 years ago. Wow. It's been a while, but this is it for me. I don't see how Bandai could top this. This is really top of the line stuff. And I can't wait for that Alphamon to come out now, because boy, that cape's gonna be good too, I'm sure. They totally can't screw up now, can they? Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Leave a comment down below. Tell me your favorite Digimon Figuart. Or tell me which is your favorite Omegamon Figuart. One or the other, I don't really mind. Just have a chat down below. Also, be sure to subscribe, join the 12,000 plus people subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell to keep up with future uploads. I got more Digimon stuff. I will always have more Digimon stuff. There is so much Digimon stuff I have not done videos on, even though I've done stuff on videos before. Anyways, I got other Digimon stuff, don't worry. Plus, you know, the usuals, the Kamen Riders, the Super Sentais, the Power Rangers, and the random things I throw in, like Sonic the Hedgehog, which is now becoming one of my main things. Who knew? But anyways, if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for all your news and more, including Digimon. And be sure to check out my awesome graphic designer on Twitter, DarkClaw643. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.